We are back live and in living color here on a Monday evening following Monday Night Raw. An early edition of Monday Night Raw, that is. Obviously, it was in Brussels, Belgium, but nonetheless a hot crowd and a hot topic to talk about in today's live stream. First and foremost, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Jose Ramos Jr. Welcome back to another live stream here. And it's been a minute since we've had a live stream with the old setup here. Good to see everyone back in the chat. But we had to talk about John Cena. I that's first and foremost. I jumped the gun a little bit here when it came to the stream because of how that segment was on Monday Night Raw. I mean, arguably the best segment of the year, the hottest segment of the year, the hottest crowd of the year at least, pertaining to Monday Night Raw. John Cena makes his first appearance since betraying the WWE fans, since aligning himself with the final boss, The Rock, and Travis Scott, and that vicious attack that was delivered to the WWE champion Cody Rhodes, putting in motion the main event of WrestleMania 41. I don't know about you guys. I'm excited about this. I'm more excited than I was for WrestleMania 41 than I actually thought I was going to be. Because before Elimination Chamber, before the Rumble, there was a lot of speculation. There was a lot of questions as to what direction was Triple H and Creative going to go with the main event of WrestleMania 41. We gave him a little time to cook. We gave him a chance to come up with some stories. And so far, so good, I must say. But that's what it's all about. It's all about patience. And I feel like that's the theme with the latest run of the WWE is patience. A lot of us as fans, we tend to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good, but sometimes you just gotta sit back and watch the show and let it unfold before your very eyes. Cody Rhodes wins the WWE Championship at last year's WrestleMania. One of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. Certainly one of the biggest main events ever. The culmination of his story. It was always about finishing the story, but when he finally finished the story, the question was, what's next? Because sometimes when it comes to pro wrestling, when it comes to following a baby face, sometimes it's about the chase. It's about the climb. It's about how do we get there? How does the persevering baby face win over the audience, win the title, and seize the day? And then once they do so, it's like, okay, now what? Now where do we go? And Cody Rhodes would go on to have a 2024 that would see him defeat the likes of AJ Styles, Logan Paul, Solo Sikoa, Kevin Owens, and now embarking on his next opponent, John Cena. The focus shifts from Cody to John Cena for a quick moment here. Shout out to Muhammad in the chat. What's going on, my friend? John Cena, the leader of the C Nation, the leader of a generation, an all-time talent, one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. A 13-time WWE champion, a 3-time world champion. Last time I checked, 13 plus 3, 16-time world champion, a U.S. champion, a tag champion, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, all-world talent, and pretty soon a fellow member of the Bald-Headed Club. John Cena is on a mission to get number 17. His next goal is to break the record, the alleged record, I should mention, depending who you ask, of Ric Flair. So it's announced he's going to have a retirement tour. He's going to go on a farewell tour and travel across the globe and give everyone an opportunity to finally see him go one last time in their respective cities. And John Cena enters the Royal Rumble as the first step into earning number 17. He's a heavy favorite. We talked about it. Roman, Punk, and John Cena. Those were the three. These are the guys that were heavy favorites. And I tell you what, none of them win. None of them win except it's the Yeet Man, Jey Uso. He emerges victorious. And John Cena left with nowhere else to go. I mean, come on now. We're running out of options. We're running out of time. So he doesn't win the Rumble. He inserts himself into this year's men's elimination chamber. And again, it's out of character. John Cena is the kind of guy who earns his opportunity. He doesn't want the easy way out. He wants to be able to say that he's earned his keep, and he inserts himself into the chamber matchup out of character, if you ask many of the diehard wrestling fans. He gets to the chamber, and he gets to the final three. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, John Cena. We're in the final three. And John Cena is oblivious to what's going on between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, heated rivals, on a collision course to WrestleMania themselves. And Seth Rollins takes the opportunity to deliver a curb stomp to one CM Punk. And John Cena picks up the scraps and says, you know what, the damage is done. Let me seize the moment. Places CM Punk in the STF. Of course, he doesn't force him to tap out. Rather than CM Punk, he actually passes out. John Cena, cowardly, wins that chamber matchup. Now, just like Edge, the ultimate opportunist, taking advantage of the opportunity at hand. I can't fault him at that, but it's not the John Cena that I grew up watching. It's not the John Cena that I grew up with the hustle, loyalty, and the respect, the top babyface, the leader of the C Nation, all that good stuff. Everything was right in front of us. They told us before we even recognized what was going on. And before we knew it, John Cena is in the ring with Cody Rhodes, The Rock, Travis Scott. For some reason, we're still trying to figure out why. And Cody ends up denying The Rock his services, his soul, if you will. So what's the next best thing? John Cena. In a moment that we're still talking about, it's been 2 weeks now, but that heel turn, man, masterfully done. A moment in time, people are going to ask you, where were you when John Cena turned heel, finally, after 20 years? And for 2 weeks, we didn't hear anything. We didn't see John Cena on Raw, on SmackDown. We were stuck with the highlights. We were stuck with those little vignettes, those videos, those promo packages, highlighting what had taken place in the Elimination Chamber in Canada. So it was announced that, hey, John Cena is going to be in Brussels, Belgium for an episode of Monday Night Raw, March 17th, a time to be. And he wouldn't be alone. Cody Rhodes would be there. But before we get to Cody Rhodes, when we see John Cena emerge from the back, make his entrance into the WWE ring, what a crowd. They were already raucous. They were already on their feet. But when John Cena got there, man, they let him have it. They booed him out the building. They even brought back the old John Cena jingle, the John Cena sucks jingle, during his theme song. You would have had me thinking this was back in like 2015. 10 years ago, when the crowd was so split, except they weren't really split. It was very much so 70-30. 70 being against Cena, and then the 30% of the smart fans, the marks. I can't even complain, I might be one of them, who would cheer Cena. It was eerie. It was odd. It didn't feel real. And it would go on for like several minutes on end. John Cena wasn't speaking. He would hold the microphone up, teasing words and nothing. The crowd would continue to boo. And then he finally spoke. He finally opened his mouth and delivered one of the most scathing promos I think Cena's ever had. We've seen him had great battles on the mic against the likes of CM Punk, The Rock, just to name a couple. But he went after the fans. He went after the audience, talking about how he was the victim. That for years on end, he was the victim. That he was just trying to do his best. He was trying to do the right thing. And that the fans would not accept him. He changed his gimmick. Doctor of Thugonomics. And the fans wouldn't accept him. Until he finally reaches the top, wins the WWE title at WrestleMania 21, which we talked about on the episode of the JRA Wrestling Podcast earlier on Monday. He talks about how even for those 10 years, he worked his tail off. and the fans still wouldn't accept him. He says, for all the people that hated him, they're the problem. And the people that have supported him, they're even part of the problem too. Cut to the shot of that one kid in the crowd that he called out, which I thought was a fantastic cut. That kid is now immortalized as a meme in WWE history. And John Cena, what I loved about this promo is I was nervous. I was a little bit skeptical that we were going to get a cartoony version of John Cena in this last few years as, his career. He's been very animated. He's been very 80s, 90s hokey-ish. And I was a little worried about that as a heel. But this felt real. This felt like it came from the heart. Like he really had resentment towards the people that refused to accept him throughout his whole career. Then we have Cody coming out. And Cody Rhodes talks about who is this John Cena? This isn't the John Cena that he wants to face at WrestleMania. That he needs to step it up for WrestleMania. He doesn't want to face this version. He was promised the 16-time champion, aiming for 17. It's going to be a showdown. It's going to be a match for the ages. WrestleMania 41 can't come fast enough. It was a great start to the show. I think it's the best segment of the year. And I think it went for like a half hour, maybe even more than 30 minutes. It didn't feel like it though. I could have watched the whole 2.5 hours of Monday Night Raw of just those two going at it. It was fantastic work by two of the very best the WWE has right now. An all-timer in John Cena, and quite frankly, a future all-timer in Cody Rhodes. I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think about that episode of Monday Night Raw? What did you think about the opening? Who was your pick for Cody Rhodes versus John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania 41? And are you team Cody or are you team John Cena? Let's look at the chat here. Johnny talks about the Rockets. They're in second place right now. That's right. Golden States are playing. Yeah, Golden State's halftime. I'll catch the second half highlights following the stream. We're not doing too good against the Nuggets, but hey, we're a second half team. I expect them to come out swinging in the third quarter. What do I like about The Undertaker? I mean, come on. What is there not to like about The Undertaker? The conscience of the WWE, a legend through and through, iconic matches and stories and just gimmicks in itself. The Undertaker is an all-timer. He is a Mount Rushmore. You want to set the standard for what a successful superstar is in the WWE? It starts with The Undertaker. He is the end-all, be-all. I've always said Shawn Michaels is my GOAT. If someone told me The Undertaker, I ain't going to argue. I ain't going to argue with him. P-Dub, what's going on? That promo was the best thing WWE has done in decades. It was awesome. It felt surreal to hear John Cena run down the crowd the manner in which he did. Fantastic storytelling, and it gets you even more invested, as if you couldn't already be more invested in the Cody versus Cena matchup. I need to see these two interact one more time. I know they're going to do it next week, but that matchup, I'm telling you, man, that matchup's going to be something else. I'm doing real well. It was a good Monday. I can't complain. How are you doing? Sylvia in the chat. What's going on, Sylvia? Another diehard member of the Main Event Mafia. Appreciate you. Says, what a promo, and the crowd made it better. Man, these international crowds are something else. They really are. I love the fact that here in the month of March, we're having an international tour for Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown on the lead up to WrestleMania 41. It makes every episode seem even more important, that you have to watch it. And I thought it was so smart of them to have Cena's return to Monday Night Raw on an episode where they were overseas. That Belgium crowd brought it, and it wasn't just in the Cena segment. In the Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser matchup, in the main event against Braun Breaker and Finn Balor, awesome job. Everyone in that arena deserves a round of applause. Big shout out to all the fans in attendance for today's episode of Monday Night Raw. A great promo, a great segment, a great crowd. We talked about this, off stream, my family and I, and we said the crowd really makes a show. You can have a good show, but if the crowd is acting like that, it elevates it to great show. It elevates it to a fantastic show, a memorable show. Friday Night SmackDown, hey, you guys got to live up to that. That was fantastic, man. Awesome show. Johnny says play Roman Reigns will be SmackDown. Will be on SmackDown this Friday. I guess CM Punk will be. Yeah, CM Punk is going to confront Roman Reigns, and then Seth Rollins announced he's going to be on Friday Night SmackDown as well. Probably going to set up their triple threat match at WrestleMania 41. It's going to be a good segment regardless. I mean, you have three of the top stars in the company. I mean, Cody and Cena delivered. I can't wait to hear what Roman, Punk, and Rollins have to say to one another. Friday night's going to be must see. Monday, I think, is the best show. Monday Night Raw. WWE's on fire. I feel like a broken record. I've been saying that for a minute there, but they really are. Tijuana Tacos, what's going on? Love it. You would say Taco Tuesday. It's a taco every day with Tijuana Tacos. Love to see you, buddy. What did you like about Rhea Ripley today? I like the assertiveness. I like that she's not playing games. She wants that Women's World Championship back. She has this level of aggression to her that we haven't seen for quite some time. She's been in a feud with the Judgment Day and Liv Morgan for quite some time. And now to see her interact with someone other than Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez is very refreshing. She's had great moments with both Io and Bianca. I love the fact that she took charge and placed herself in the title picture there. It's going to be a triple threat match. Io, Bianca, Rhea Ripley. That's going to be a great matchup. And it opens up the questioning as to what is going to be the main event for night one. Is it going to be the triple threat of the women? Io, Rhea, and Bianca? Or will it be the triple threat for the men? Punk, Roman, and Rollins. It's going to be really tough. Really tough. I think both matches have a compelling case as to who will be the main event. But regardless, man, we'll be here. We'll be here. We'll be watching it. Thank you for the question there. How long have you been watching wrestling for? Since the year 2000, buddy. 25 years as a wrestling fan. Granted, I was only 2 years old, but hey, I was still watching it then. As a fan, a 2-year-old baby. Watching pro wrestling. The memory goes so far as 2003. So take that how you will. But 20 plus years as a wrestling fan. There was a moment there, maybe a year, where I wasn't watching as much as I would have liked. That was probably like in 2020, 2019, the pandemic. Ironically enough, it's like I'm not going anywhere. Might as well have been watching it. But the quality of the product wasn't really the best. But I always maintained an idea of what was going on. I knew who the champions were. I knew what the main storylines were going on. But actually to sit down and watch a show, I hadn't seen a lot of it. But I've been watching it for a long time, buddy. What do you think about Penta tonight? Can't wait what they do with him. Penta, man. Oh, I got chills. In today's episode, his entrance against Ludwig Kaiser, that no holds barred match, I got chills. And I literally looked over to my brother and I was like, dude, this is so cool. I can't believe AEW didn't capitalize on this as a single star. Penta's legit, dude. I mean, in the ring, I know there's some people who might criticize his promo skills because his English isn't the best. I mean, it's not his first language, but when he speaks, even because I know Spanish, right? I can understand him English and Spanish, but even if I couldn't understand him, you can feel the emotion. You can feel it when he speaks, man, that passion for pro wrestling. Love Penta. So excited to see him in the mix for the Intercontinental Championship, so we'll see how that'll progress. But I mean, dude, Penta, otherworldly. Can't wait for Rey Fenix to come in as well. Should be awesome. What do you think will be the first match of night 1 and night 2 of Mania? That's a great question. I mean, there's not a lot of matches advertised so far. Because we have the 2 world title matches. We have the 2 women's titles matches. And I think that might be it. Maybe I'm wrong. Those might be the only ones that are announced. We know the women are going to have a triple threat match. We know the men are going to have a triple threat match. If you ask me, I don't know about the second, night 2 main event. Opener. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gunther and Jey Uso open up night 1. Maybe night 2. I can't answer both nights, but I do think one of the nights will be opened by Gunther and Jey Uso. The other one, it's probably going to be like the Intercontinental title or US title, something like that. That'd be my guess. What did you like about Jey Uso today? Okay, Jey Uso So infectious, man. This guy's attitude, this guy's persona, this guy's energy is fantastic. His entrance, love Jey Uso, big fan of his. Loved his tenacity against Gunther. You know, this guy has been going at his end with Gunther this last month, ever since he announced that he's going to be choosing Gunther for WrestleMania. And we finally got to see him get the upper hand on Gunther. That shot of him with the World Championship, standing on the ropes and tossing it back to Gunther, showing him that I'm not intimidated. I'm not afraid of you, Gunther. You may have beaten me 3 times, but hey, this time is my time. Jey Uso may not have had the best looking spear tonight, and he kind of botched the dive over the top rope, but he's human. He's a human being like you and I, and that's why I'm a fan of his, because I can relate to him. Plus, he's a 49er fan, and you know that gets a lot of brownie points from me. Big fan of Jey Uso. Anybody catch Dom's t-shirt? Yeah. Latino Heat shirt at Mama Ramos. Tijuana Tacos knows. I love it, man. I think it says Latino Cheat, I believe is what it says. An homage to Latino Heat. Dominic Mysterio, man, can't say enough good things about him. A great heel. Hopefully a great champion in the future. Want to see what they... And even Dominic singing the praises of Penta. Telling Finn, hey, what if we bring Penta into the mix? You know, a little recruitment there by Dirty Dominic. Can't say enough good things about him. Awesome t-shirt. Awesome look. He is the son of Eddie Guerrero. Greatness rubbing off on him. Dakota Kai. You know, I like Dakota Kai. And she's kind of caught in limbo right now. She had been in the title picture for the Intercontinental title. Obviously didn't win it. But I look at Dakota Kai and I'm like, we could do so much with her, man. As a mid-carder. Wouldn't be surprised if he wins the IC title at one point. I thought she had a good showing against Ivy Nile. Maybe that storyline is going to be put to bed now because she got the victory over Ivy. Of course, you can argue there was a little bit of chicanery there due to the interference of the LWO. But Dakota Kai had a good showing against Ivy Nile. A fan of hers. Tijuana Tacos, the Dom winning the Money in the Bank. I think it's a great opportunity. If it's not Dominic, I'm thinking either LA Knight or John Cena. Those are my 3. As of right now. An early prediction. Actually, no. Dominic, I don't even think he wins this year. Maybe he wins it the next year. But I do think a future Money in the Bank winner. That's probably his best bet if he's going to win the world title, is through Money in the Bank. So maybe not this year, Tijuana, but maybe the next year. But he is on the rise. His stock will be rising. If you want to invest in a wrestler, invest in Dominic Mysterio, because the payout for that investment is going to be fantastic. Dwayne's here for his matchup against Odyssey. We're waiting for Odyssey to show up. Dakota Kai better not get injured. I mean, we don't want to see anybody get injured in the WWE, but she does have a track record, unfortunately, for injuries in the past. And every time I see her wrestle, that's what I think about. You know, we wish her the best, and she's been doing well so far. And hopefully that leads a little bit of momentum for her, and maybe gets her in the title picture, whether it's the Intercontinental title picture or the Women's World Championship. We're fans of Dakota Kai here. What I like about Trick Williams, he reminds me a lot of Booker T. You know, I see of Booker T, I see the Rock in him a little bit too, in terms of the charisma. A lot of potential with Trick Williams. Great theme, entrance theme when he comes out to the ring, and, the whoop that trick chants by the crowd. He has that connection with the audience, which is huge. I mean, if you're able to get the audience to invest in you and become a fan of yours, that goes a long way. That goes a very long way. Can't wait to see what NXT going to be like. I believe he has an NXT Underground matchup against Eddie Thorpe. Funny enough, we were talking about Dakota Kai. It's, her significant other. Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams should be a good matchup. And NXT Underground. We'll look forward to that. What I like about Tony D'Angelo and Shawn Spears, the story of Tony D'Angelo is a funny one because he is part of that NXT 2.0 class with like Grayson Waller, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, who first came around. And a lot of them, if not all of them, are now on the main roster. And Tony D'Angelo is one of the last guys that hasn't made it up to the main roster. I think he's due for it. I don't know about the family. The way I see it, I think Tony leaves the family, goes to the main roster, and it's going to be Stax Lorenzo, who is actually going to be the new Don of NXT. They've kind of been hinting at it, allowing him to make his own decisions. So I think there's a opportunity there for him. Tony D'Angelo, though, I don't see him becoming anything big. Truthfully, I like Tony. I like Tony D, but I don't see him being a main eventer. I don't see him winning the world championship. I don't see him in major storylines in the WWE. He's gonna be a perennial, low to mid card act. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You need to have a level of depth on your roster. Nothing wrong with that. Sean Spears, happy for him. He won the NXT North American Championship, which, there's a little factoid that was his first piece of singles gold in any one of the major promotions, AEW, TNA, and WWE. And that's amazing in itself because he's been a vet for 2 decades, almost 3, I believe. So Sean Spears, because he was in the 2000s, the 2010s, and now we're in the 2020s. So happy for him. Looking forward to see how his group moves forward as well. Dwayne says gimmicks in the early 90s, WWE, I will make you pay your taxes, and if you fill them correctly, your boss paid too much. Is that an IRS reference? Erwin R. Shyster. What do you like about Moose? I'm going to preface this first and foremost. This is Moose the wrestler. Everyone has their opinions on him in regards to like the personal life stuff. I'm not going to get into that. Moose's presence is certainly felt in character. He is one of the last big names in TNA. And what I mean by that is he's like a homegrown guy. He's been there for basically his entire career. Former TNA World Champion. Current X Division Champion. Loved his matchup against Oba Femi. I thought that was really well done, and it was a showcase of both behemoths of their respective brands. Caught the highlights of his ladder match with Jeff Hardy at Sacrifice. A lot of upside with him, but I do think that I think he's reached his limit. He's reached his ceiling, I should say. But Moose is cool. Moose is cool. The System is, the leading faction in TNA, the heel faction, so that's what's up. Money Inc. is very strange to me because there's IRS, a very serious taxman, not crooked at all, who's just casually hanging out with $1 million man. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm really well in depth when it comes to the golden era stuff. But it kind of makes sense. I mean, he can be his tax man, keeping charge of his money, his financial, not a financial backer, but almost like an accountant role where it's like, hey, I'm watching out for the $1 million man's money and making sure everything's covered and everything's all good and dandy. Obviously, the $1 million man had his $1 million corporation with guys like Bam Bam. Tatanka was even there for a bit. I think King Kong Bundy might have been there as well, early 90s. Do you think we're going to see Rey Fenix teaming up with Penta? I do. I'm assuming you meant Penta. I do, but down the road. They had a Rey Fenix promo or vignette on the... he had a vignette on SmackDown. And maybe I missed it. I don't think they had one on Raw today. So I feel like they're going to go the route of having Rey Fenix on SmackDown and Penta on Raw, which is actually, if you kept up with the lives, I did suggest that. Keep them separate. Build up their equity as single stars. Get both audiences, both Raw and SmackDown, to become invested in Phoenix and Penta. So eventually, when the two come together and team up and reform the Lucha Brothers, now there's investment. Now I care. Because I like Rey Fenix as his own thing. And I like Penta as his own thing. So when they finally come together, it means even more. So I do think eventually they do team up. Don't know if it's going to be right off the bat. But maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. Wishful thinking. Dude, no new look or music. I like the way he explained it, though. I was kind of hoping for a new look and new music. But I like the way he said it. Like, I'm not going to change for you guys. He says, you dress like me. I don't dress like you. That music is my words. It's my voice. And so he gives it reason to it. That's fine. Would have been cool to hear a heel theme song? Yeah, it would have. But at least you gave me reason. If they would have just ignored it and kept moving forward, it just kept moving ahead without any acknowledgement as to why they kept the same theme or the same gear, then I would have been nitpicky, but they acknowledged it. They had seen a reason as to why he's not going to change it. That's fine. You gave me a reason. Here's an idea for a character that is so overly positive, it's kind of astonishing. Only bad thing is this character gets extremely joyful from causing pain. I think there really could have been a potential with like a Bo Dallas. That early Bo Dallas, like you got to believe in NXT, that I think was kind of straying that way. I think the only thing is it wasn't extreme joy from pain, but that overly positive character kind of reminds me of Bo Dallas. Not saying it's a carbon copy of your idea, but I think had they played their cards right, it could have went that way. He did the John Cena way. He did. He did. The Creed brothers, super athletic. I mean, these guys remind me of Team Angle. The world's greatest tag team. Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. A lot of athleticism. They do have the charisma as well. I've seen some of their TikToks and their backstage interviews, and I believe Brutus streams as well. So they do have the promos. They do have the ability to have the charisma and the personality to accompany their ring athleticism. So there's a lot of upside with them. Future tag team champions, I'm thinking within the next year. What's the deal with the Wyatt Six? I want them to come out and dominate, dude. They're coming. They had some moments there during the Alexa Bliss, segments where they were hinting at an appearance by them. So they're coming. It's just a matter of when. But I'm a big fan of the Wyatt Six. Uncle Howdy and the crew. I love that spooky feel. You guys already know that. I'm a big fan of the supernatural gimmicks. And I want to see them dominate. I want to see them rough house all over the WWE universe and leave havoc everywhere. I mean, that debut was fantastic. They had one of the greatest debuts in the modern era. And not a lot to show for it. The one match I can think of with them is with the Final Testament that they lost. A lot more proving for them to be. Who's the Luchador Americano? LOL. I don't know, man. Dethroned by Eli. Who can it be, right? That new masked Luchador who made an appearance, attacking the LWO? I don't know, man. Could be anybody. Could be anybody at this point. What do I like about Neville? Pac, I love Pac's athleticism. I think he's one of the best at what he does in terms of an aerial assault. Loved his work in NXT. Even in the Cruiserweight division, he was the best Cruiserweight champion that the WWE had. His work with AEW, since joining the Blackpool Combat Club, now known as the Death Riders, has been a little touch and go for me, but I'm a fan of Neville / Pac. Here's something that I find incredibly disappointing. Vader was great as a high flyer, and we've seen a lot of big man high flyers, and yes, I know Vader is not doing springboards, but still impressive. And then she never really got pushed to the extent he should have been in the WWE. I feel like he kind of become the villain of the week for a while. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. In terms of being a high flyer, no one the size of Vader should be able to move the way he did. That moonsault by Vader is ridiculous. The Vader bomb, ridiculous. I still think it's the best type of looking Vader bomb. I don't want to talk about the Annihilator. Didn't get his due. I mean, in WCW, in Japan, this guy was treated as royalty. This guy was treated like a monster. Makes the jump into the WWF in 1996. And yeah, he had his moment with Shawn Michaels, but ever since that little fiasco at SummerSlam 96, wasn't really given his due, due to the misunderstanding of that little interaction between the two. And since then, like you said, he was treated like as the villain of the week. He wasn't really presented with real storyline, something to really sink your teeth in. He was caught in the tag team division there for a minute, had feuds with like Kane and Bradshaw, and they left a lot on the bone when it came to Vader. And even the way he was unceremoniously unmasked at Over the Edge in 98 just doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. Vader is one of my all-time favorite big men, and he was long overdue a Hall of Fame induction. They waited so long to put him in the Hall of Fame, dude. All-time great. Malachi Black, love the aesthetic Love the look, love the entrance. I thought the House of Black was an awesome idea. I just didn't like the fact that we didn't get to see him compete as much. Yeah, they competed as a tag team and as a trio, but I would have loved to see Malachi compete as a single star as well and get some championship aspirations. Whether it's the World Championship or even the TNT Championship for that matter. I think he was underutilized in AEW. I think his best years came in NXT. Having the matchup against the likes of Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream. He had a good, Andrade. Like he had great matches in NXT. Got to the main roster and it just didn't feel the same. But I'm looking forward to it. It looks like he's going to come back to the WWE, and we here in the J area are looking very much forward to his long-awaited return as probably Aleister Black. I don't see why they would keep him as Malachi. They could, but he probably will return as Aleister Black. MVP. MVP is a gem on the mic. I mean, this guy knows how to present a character, knows how to present credibility, not only in himself, but the people he's representing, aka the Hurt Syndicate. MVP is great on the mic. He is someone I would want to represent me. Plus the flashy look, the suit and the jewelry and the cane. I mean, dude, Montel Vontavious Porter is the MVP for a reason. Mick Foley lost part of his ear in a match against Vader in Germany. I think Vader was great in Boy Meets World. Shout out to Mick Foley lost part of his ear in the Hangman spot where he gets caught between the ropes. He did lose part of his ear in Germany. And yeah, for people who didn't know that, Vader did appear in Boy Meets World. Shout out to Topanga. I'm much more of a Topanga fan than I am a Savage fan. Curtis Axel, I liked, it's funny because San Fran and I talked about Curtis Axel the other night, and very difficult to follow the acts of Mr. Perfect and Larry the Axe Hennig, his grandfather and his father, respectfully. He was never going to live up to that. It's tough, man. It's tough to live up to the name like that. Very few people are able to follow in their father's footsteps and surpass them, especially when you're coming from a wrestling family like the Hennings. His probably most memorable work, though, is probably as like the Axelmania and Social Outcast time, entertaining in that regard. But me personally, I could never take him serious, like as a serious act. Could he have? Sure, under the right circumstance, under the right, creative direction, perhaps. But for what we were given, I never saw it. I feel like every face of Foley has had at least one great match except for Dude Love, and his debut doesn't count because that was a tag match. I feel like he should have had one great match, or at least put against someone who was way better than him in the ring and could carry him to one. I think with Dude Love, this is my opinion. I don't know if you would say it's his best match, but as Dude Love, he did have that matchup against Stone Cold Steve Austin in '98 for the WWE title. He had a couple of those. So whether you want to say it's his best match or not, I do think it's probably one of his most notable matches is against Stone Cold for those titles. I was like Unforgiven and Over the Edge. Those might be the only ones for Dude Love. I believe he fought Triple H as well, if I'm not mistaken. But I do hear you. I love the faces of Foley. All three of them have distinct features, distinct characteristics, and have been some of the best of all time. Great character. He really has four faces if you think about it. Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and Mick Foley. What I like about the Steiners? Innovative. I mean, those guys were athletic freaks, no pun intended for Scott Steiner. I mean, their run of the WWF and the New Generation era, obviously in the WCW as well. And nothing against Rick Steiner. I've always been more of a Scott Steiner guy, mostly because of his promo work. I mean, dude, the Frankensteiner, fantastic. We learned not too long ago in a CVV interview that Scott Steiner apparently invented the 450, which is ridiculous. But Scott Steiner, entertaining as hell on the microphone, whether it was in TNA, WCW, or WWE. I think he's a great character. Happy they made him in the Hall of Fame, and they're starting a lineage here, man. Between the Steiner brothers, Braun Breaker, and Scott's, his sons. Wow. Johnny Chill, shout out to Dethroned by Eli. Sabu, I skipped over. Oh man, what was it? The homicidal, genocidal, suicidal Sabu. I mean, his ECW run is stuff of legend, right? His matches against the likes of Taz teaming up with RVD. I mean, this guy was one of the biggest faces of ECW. The look, the move set, the aura. I'll never forget seeing as a kid old clips of Sabu being, driven out to the ring via, I don't know what I want to call it, like a Hannibal Lecter type of entrance, where they wheeled him out and had him restrained with the Hannibal Lecter mask on. I mean, it was haunting stuff as a kid, and I was very much interested in the haunting stuff of wrestling. But Sabu, awesome. One of the first matches I saw of his live, because again, I wasn't around for the original ECW run, was the Rey Mysterio match at One Night Stand 2006 for the world title match, and remember being mesmerized by Sabu and by Rey Mysterio's work in the ring. I didn't like the finish. It was like a no contest in an Extreme Rules matchup, which in itself is baffling to be a no contest. But yeah, I like Sabu. I feel like the Sandman could have never worked outside of ECW, and we have proof of that because of what happened in the WWE. The special thing about him is that he was just all willing to do anything. Yeah, and hardcore wrestling doesn't really translate to like the WWE. Those guys are very story based driven. Those, what happens in the ring has direction, has motive. Not to say it doesn't for Sandman. I mean, he had his moment with Raven, in ECW's rivalry, but he reached his ceiling. I do think his best stuff was in ECW for sure. Even as Hack in WCW, it never really hit the mark like in ECW. But he's one of the best ECW champions, 5-time champion. What's your go-to PLE you like to rewatch? That's a great question, dethroned by Eli. I'm stuck between two. I'm a very big fan of wrestling in 2005 because as a little kid, it resonates with me. A lot of my favorite rivalries were born in '05, or were revisited in '05, I should say. Uh, Two of them, WrestleMania 21 and SummerSlam 2005. Those are like my comfort events. WrestleMania 21 was one of the first, oh no, was the first WrestleMania I saw as a fan. And SummerSlam was the first pay-per-view that I bought as a fan. Well, that my family bought as a fan. So, SummerSlam 2005 and WrestleMania 21. Those are my go-tos. Who do you think would win in a tag team match, Austin and Hunter versus Rock and Cena, when all were at the best in their era? Man. Oh, that's a great question, Salvi. I think Austin and Triple H. I'm taking story into consideration. Austin says DTA. Don't trust anybody. I don't think him and Triple H can coexist. I know they were the two-man power trip, but for the purpose of my answer, I think I'm gonna go Rock and Cena on a narrow win. I mean, Cena wins. LOL was a huge trend during his day, and The Rock and Austin have their history, so it can go either way. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Rock and Cena. What do I like about Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude? Ricky Steamboat, for me, his best match is against Ric Flair. Chi-Town Rumble, WCW Championship on the line. I just recently rewatched that matchup too. It's available on the WCW YouTube channel. Just an awesome matchup. Ricky Steamboat having an answer for everything for Ric Flair, being able to counter every attack that the Nature Boy threw in his way, and was a great baby face that we all could cheer on. And to see him win that WCW title against Ric Flair, an awesome moment. He had a great match at WrestleMania 3, one of the first great matches in WrestleMania history against the Macho Man for the IC title. Love the entrance. He would spit fire with that. The dragon. Love it. And then for Rick Rude, he was a heel's heel. He had the gear, the airbrush gear, where he would have the significant others of like Jake Roberts on his tights, or the Intercontinental Championship on his tights, and just again a throwback heel. Love it, man. Rick Rude, former international champion as well, WCW. Johnny's on fire, says Tijuana Tacos. What do you like about William Regal? William Regal is in that echelon of superstars where it's like they weren't afraid to be funny. And I appreciate that so much. They didn't take themselves too serious. Kurt Angle's very much, I think, one of the baby faces. Or, one of the faces of that echelon where it's like they could be a serious grappler, but then learn to make fun of themselves. So I think he should be in the Hall of Fame for sure. Love the international fans. I'm with you, Tacos. I love it, man. They bring it. Those guys bring it. Love it. And hey, it makes the North American crowds, come on, step up your game. Match the energy of these crowds, man. But it's probably because they haven't had an opportunity to see live wrestling in quite some time, let alone a Monday Night Raw live in quite some time. But they bring it every single time. When do you think R-Truth and John Cena will have a TV segment, and what will happen? I think it's probably going to be something like a backstage segment. John Cena's walking, in the back and happens to bump into R-Truth, and R-Truth is like, John, why? What are you doing? My hero. And it leads to some kind of fight. Maybe John Cena sucker punches him. I think that would be great heat if John Cena sucker punches R-Truth. I mean, whoa. I mean, you talk about getting on the fans' nerves there. Some kind of backstage segment. Maybe it leads to a matchup. I would love that, to see R-Truth finally get a match against John Cena, his childhood hero, of course. But something along those lines. And I don't know if it might be the lead up to Mania, because Cody had an interaction with R-Truth a couple weeks ago. Gianna Forever, good evening. How you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you for joining us on the live stream. Dwayne says, here is a move I never understood. The Frankensteiner off the top rope. You want to jump off and accomplish the same result. What is the point? It looks cool, man. I'm with you. Some of these moves don't make too much sense, but from the optics, they look awesome. PLE in Mexico. I really thought that Backlash was going to be in Mexico, but it's going to be in St. Louis. No disrespect to St. Louis, first of all. No disrespect at all. But it's kind of a letdown. They were in Puerto Rico. They were in France. And now we're in Missouri. I was hoping Mexico. But obviously not the case. Hopefully one day, Tijuana Tacos. I hope so. I think it'd be cool, especially if they can get somewhere like the Aztec Stadium would be fire. But we'll see. Hopefully soon. What do you like about Bob Barklund? Do you mean like Bob Barker, the host of Price is Right? I thought he was a great host for Monday Night Raw during the guest host era. It was very funny with him and Chris Jericho. Great cameo in Happy Gilmore. Tommy Dreamer, the innovator of violence. Big fan of Tom Dreamer. Tom Dreamer, as if I know him on a first name basis. His feud with Raven, I mean, all timer in ECW. The whole Beulah McGillicuddy stuff was great storytelling in ECW. Love his stuff on Busted Open. Him alongside LaGreca, Mark Henry, Bubba. Tatanka. I was never a Tatanka guy. I mean, again, no disrespect, but it's just wasn't for me. What do you think is going to be the next stupid move? A backflip corkscrew, a double rotation, shooting star press. Okay, well, look, we also have to be fair with physics, right? I don't know if that's going to be, if someone can do that, or something like that. I don't even know if someone's going to manage to pull that off. Dwayne, if they try to pull that off, they might injure themselves, and that's the last thing we need. But I'm with you. But it's like everything's been done before, so someone, is trying to look for the next move set, the next innovative move to pull off. I'm sure people thought that the first wrestler to do a moonsault was crazy, right? But now it's like commonplace for people to do moonsaults. But yeah, I'm curious to see what's the next evolution in terms of high flying offense in wrestling. Bull Nakano, I mean, a trailblazer at its finest. Bull Nakano and her battles with Medusa, aka Alundra Blaze, in the WWE in the 90s, really carrying what women's wrestling could have been in the 90s. Obviously, her work in Japan goes without saying, and is an all-timer, Hall of Famer as well. Real quick, looking at the score, Warriors are down by 7. We're looking good. Love the look too. I love the makeup that Bull Nakano had. What do I like about Doink the Clown? I was more partial towards Doink the Clown as a heel. That early run where he would come out to the eerie music and had the menacing smile and that one glance that he would look into the camera, really was intrigued by the evil clown aspect of Doink the Clown. When they turned him babyface, he just became a party clown. That silly stereotypical clown with no depth. But I like the heel stuff. I like the uncomfortable stuff when like it was like dude, it was like a menacing clown, like Pogo the Clown type of stuff, which I'm pretty sure that's what was some of the inspiration, right? I mean that would make sense to me. Papa Shango. Okay, first of all, Charles Wright has one of the greatest careers in wrestling, I think, because he was able to have characters like Papa Shango, The Godfather, Kama, Kama Mustafa, The Fighting Machine, The Good Father, Hall of Famer Charles Wright is. But I love the Papa Shango gimmick. I mean, you guys already know I'm a fan of talking about the supernatural, the spooky stuff in pro wrestling to see how we were able to stretch the imagination of the audience and to come out like as a voodoo witch doctor from like the old times, and it was cool. Again, the look of the makeup, the mannerisms, the gear, those are the things that stick with you as a young professional wrestling fan, is those characters. I mean, obviously the matches themselves, but when you're young enough and you don't recognize what ring psychology is, the characters are what stick with you, and I think Papa Shango for sure, you know, sticks out. What do you like about D Rest? Uh, DX, big fan of Degeneration X. They're my favorite faction of all time. Triple H in the gang, Shawn Michaels, China, Rick Rude, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, X Pac. Best faction of all time in the WWE's, history at least. Big fan of theirs. What I like about Mantar? Nothing. Nothing. It was a dark time. The New Generation era was a dark time. I literally have no. He existed. We got Philosopher Cena. We got Philosopher Kevin in the chat. What's going on, my friend? Great to see you as always in the chat. Yeah, Cena really broke it down when it came to him and his relationship with the audience, talking about how it's an abusive relationship. And he says, I'm breaking up with you. And it's like, wow. It took 20 plus years for you to realize that, John? I mean, damn. But it was great. A great promo. I feel like the crazy, stupid move I described could be pulled off by Ricochet if it was done off the top rope. Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe off a ladder. Because given the right amount of spacing between the top of the ladder and the mat, probably. Probably, bro. What do you like about Blow Brown? Oh, D'Lo Brown? Um, his time in the Nation was fun. We know his tag team with Mark Henry is learning the tutelage of Farouk and The Rock, and D'Lo Brown was cool. I got nothing against D'Lo. I expected Cena coming in with new music, new gear. I think we all did, but I respected he says we don't deserve it. Yeah, no, I think we all did. We all expected John Cena to have a revamped entrance, new gear, new attitude. But it's like I was saying earlier. I like the fact that he addressed it, saying like we don't deserve it. That's fine with me. As long as you give me a reason. You give me a reason, then it's like okay, then I'm fine with it. So I'll give him that much. That they're able to acknowledge when we might have questions about further developments in the stories. And John Cena not coming out with new music, not coming out with new gear, certainly is a question. The the goon, the goon hockey player slash repo man IRS. What job would you think would work today as a wrestler, other than an influencer? Salvi. That's a great question. What I mean, hey, we had a dentist, Doctor Britt Baker, DMD. So maybe a doctor would work in the current pro wrestling scene. A lawyer, I think a lawyer would work. I feel like Kiana James and Luca with the family very much so could, you know, be presented as such. I think a lawyer. But that's funny. Shout out to the goon. That's wild. What do you like about Hurricane Holly? Okay. So I'm gonna take that as two: Hurricane and Hardcore Holly. We're gonna merge them like in Dragon Ball. Hurricane, I feel like we talked about the other day. Love the gimmick, the superhero gimmick. Superhero in training. Check out the acronym. Was one of the coolest things ever. His interactions with The Rock as the Hamburglar I thought was super entertaining. I was a bigger fan of him as the Hurricane than Gregory Helms, but I respect the Gregory Helms stuff as well. Hardcore Holly, I mean, he's one of the hardest wrestlers in pro wrestling. Did not like rookies by no means, and had a great moment against Daniel Puder in the Rumble in '05. I definitely respect wrestlers still wearing plain tight boots and need pads in plain colors like dark blue or something like that. Maybe a simple design. And it goes back to a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin who had the black tights and the black boots. They really let their persona and their work do the speaking for them. Sometimes the gear can be a little distracting. It can be a little bit too loud, and it takes away from the match quality, I think. So when you're able to have plain ring gear, as you mentioned, Dwayne, and still get over with the crowd, that only speaks volumes to me that this guy or girl could get over because of their work and not their gimmick. My opinion. Kane was the best dentist. You got me there, Salvi. I mean, Isaac Yankem, DDS, with the drill as his entrance theme. What do you like about Crash Holly? Oh, the hardcore title. The 24/7 rule made for some of the most entertaining TV during the Attitude Era. Love the 24/7 rule. Crash Holly taken too soon. Um, Great stuff as the hardcore champion. Funny. Have you seen the one match with Hardcore Holly and ECW doing a slam over a table? Yeah, and he slashed his back. So it's fun. Well, not funny, but it's ironic that you mentioned that because I was out for a drive the other day, and for some reason that image just popped in my head where he's leaning over the apron of the ring, pulling himself back up, and you can see the laceration on his back, and beginning to see the blood appear through that laceration, and it's always stuck with me. A gnarly injury, man. I mean, a deep cut if there ever was one, and certainly one that was imprinted on a young pro wrestling fan like myself at that time. I'll never forget that, Kevin. Great pull by Kevin there with a deep recollection of the history. Oh man, I'm checking the update. Warriors are down 7. 5 minutes left. No way. There's no Jokic, no Murray, no Christian Braun, and we're really gonna drop this one. That's a shame. Oh well. Well, I mean, there's still time. There's still time. But as you guys see here in the corner, we do have our goal. We have, as of the beginning of this stream, we were at 27 or 2,706 subs, trying to get to 3,000 by WrestleMania. That was the goal that we had put in place when we accomplished 2,000 subs. Still doable. And I mean, these last couple of streams have been doing great numbers. I mean, we've had upwards of I think 60 subs in the last maybe 2 weeks. So we're still trying to regain momentum there and push forward into the 3,000 realm. And you guys have been great. Shout out to all of you guys who've continued to support the channel and continue to support the live streams. Can't thank you guys enough in that regard. Seeing Eddie on ECW was amazing. I mean, and it was for a brief time. Isn't that funny? Like, he wasn't there for that long. It was a brief summer stint alongside Dean Malenko. Here's something. What are the Slammy Awards? Oh wait, what are the Slammy Awards? Rick Rude would be seen, and this was a while after he did the promo where he said, "I liked girls." Girls. I just said, yeah. Oh no, I know the clip you're talking about. So he was seen hanging out with an old woman and a young one, and then he went down stage and fully stripped behind a towel. Yeah, Rick Rude was a menace, dude. I mean, that dude lived the gimmick. Respect him on that. Ray. Oh, dude. The early years of ECW when we saw Rey Mysterio Jr. and Psychosis bringing Lucha Libre to the forefront of North American pro wrestling is something that I love. I'm a huge fan of those two, especially during their ECW run, and the like the death matches that they had in ECW. Love the gear too. A very young Rey Mysterio at that as well. What do I like about Razor Mahone team? Johnny, help me out. I think you mean Razor Ramon. I'm gonna assume Razor Ramon's where we're going. Scott Hall. I mean, for me, he's one of the best members of the New Generation era. You know, the ring look was cool. The ring um, gear was cool. I think he was well ahead of his time. That New Generation era did not deserve Razor Ramon. All world talent. Great match at WrestleMania 10, which is a great segue into the live stream for Thursday. We do have a poll up, a little bit of a late poll, but we have a live poll going up for Thursday night's live subject. We're going to be reviewing some WrestleMania matches and stories. Being that it's WrestleMania season, I want to look back and take an opportunity to discuss some of the best WrestleMania moments slash matches in its history. The first option, WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin and his rise to stardom following that submission match against Bret the Hitman Hart. We also have WrestleMania 10, the ladder match, Shawn versus Razor Ramon, the first ever pay-per-view ladder match in the WWE, and set forward the standard for what ladder matches would become. WrestleMania 25, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in what's widely regarded as the greatest wrestling match the WWE has produced. And finally, on the fourth option, WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan, the Miracle on Bourbon Street, his rise to stardom and becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion in 2014. Make sure you cast your votes. That way, come Thursday's live stream, we'll be all set for that topic. Looking forward to it. Something different, and it's more WrestleMania centered. These next few live streams on Thursdays are going to be more targeted towards WrestleMania as we get closer and closer to the show of shows emanating from Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada. I was the only person cheering for Rick Rude in that pose off against the Ultimate Warrior because he genuinely had a better physique. Yeah, I mean, Ultimate Warrior was in really great shape, but I have to agree with you. I think Rick Rude, in terms of the physique and his build, he had Ultimate Warrior beat. Rick Rude versus Val Venus. Who wins and who would have the better promo? I'm going Rick Rude. Nothing against Val Venus, but I think Rick Rude's the guy. You know, he was really the blueprint for what Val. I think Val Venus very much was like a '90s updated version of Rick Rude. Plus, you know, the actor aspect to it was added. But I'm gonna go Rick Rude. Chad Gable, love Chad Gable. Chad Gable's the modern Kurt Angle. Can go in the ring, is great on the mic, great character work. I just wish they would push him more effectively. I wish he would have won the Intercontinental Championship by now, and be presented more as a real threat in the division. He's got caught in the tag team division with Chad Gable and you know, the Creed brothers, which is fine, but I do want to see him more as a challenger for these top titles. I think he can go in the match, go in the ring. So to see him have matches against the likes of a Gunther, a Cody, you know, more regularly, that'd be really good. And also, it's just weird when you see a heel versus heel match because you're like, who do I cheer for? Yeah, and that's why it's very rare that they have a heel versus heel matchup. But I'm with you. You know, wrestling in itself is made to be simple. You know, you boo the bad guy, you cheer the good guy. And when it is a bad guy versus bad guy, it does present a difficult task on like, who do we get over as the babyface? Both are heels. You know, we got to cheer one, and you run the risk of apathy, you know, having the crowd not care. If both are heels, if I'm meant to not like either one of them, why should I care who wins? I don't like either of them. So it's a real risk, and that's why they don't do it as much for a heel versus heel matchup. I think one of the ones I can think of is like WrestleMania 15, where it was Big Boss Man versus The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. I feel like The Undertaker and Big Boss, they were both heels for that matchup, if I'm not mistaken. Cheers also how to do one that's slightly funny when they just try to outdo each other in the cheating. Well, that's true. I mean, it's all entertainment. You can still get it going, in an entertaining fashion, but it takes the right people to be involved. Yes, I did, Salvi. Taker versus the Underfaker, 94, so SummerSlam. Yeah, Brian Lee. Brian Lee may have portrayed a decent Undertaker in his absence, but when you see Brian Lee and Mark Calloway side by side, it's like, oh yeah, I can tell which one's the real Undertaker. So long as they weren't next to each other, he could pull it off. But come SummerSlam '94, it's like, oh, it was glaringly obvious who the real Undertaker was. Yeah, I think it's. I get why it main evented, but it shouldn't have. That steel cage match between Bret and Owen Hart for the WWE title, that should have went on last. That should have been the main event, but they went instead with the Taker matchup. And in that situation, the heel commentator has to get really, really good at their job for a few minutes. Did the Phoenix Suns win today? I can double check. Truthfully, I don't know. They did. The Suns beat the Raptors 129-89. Damn, they won by 40. Phoenix Suns got the W. Let's see. Last time I checked, we were down by 5. Down by 7. Come on, guys, pull through. That might be GG's on the Warriors tonight. Hopefully they pull through. There's still 3.5 minutes left, but they're running out of time. And speaking of time, I mean, we've been on air for almost an hour and a half now. That went by quick. That went by really quick. Warriors got to play the Milwaukee. Yeah, we do have to play with Milwaukee. I was really hoping for a win tonight, though, because no Jokic, no Jamal Murray, no Christian Braun. A short-handed Denver Nugget team. I thought we were going to be able to take care of business, but we're out here struggling tonight, and it's a home game. So tomorrow's game against Milwaukee will be the last home game in this 7-game stretch, and then after that, we're going to have we have to travel to. My fault. We have to travel to Memphis. And a face versus face is a pure form. They both just beacons of light, holier than thou kind. Okay, we're getting deep now with Dwayne, because he brought out beacon of light, holier than thou kind of guys. It just becomes kind of hard, but for different reasons too. What was the weather down here today? Wouldn't be able to tell you. I mean, our weather was cloudy. Wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. It was nice. That was a solid day. But it's easier to get a face versus face match over, because at that rate, it's like both baby faces are over. You can just have a solid matchup between the two. It's really just a battle of who do the fans support more, and they're gonna be invested, no matter what. If it's a face versus a face matchup, they're gonna be invested. If Cody's going 1-on-1 against Jey Uso, they're gonna have investment in either guy. They're gonna cheer no matter what. Versus if they were to have a heel versus heel matchup, let's see, like a Dominic Mysterio versus Logan Paul matchup, they're just gonna boo the whole match, and not because it's a terrible matchup, but because they don't like either one. So it's like, are they booing the match because it's bad or because of the investment? No, they're just booing it because they don't like either guy, and it could take away and be a distraction for the match. Who's my best tag team? My favorite tag team is the Hardy Boys. Grew up a big fan of Matt and Jeff. My brother and I, we emulated a lot of their move sets, the Twist of Fate, the Swantons. Yeah, our favorite thing was to be the tag team champions like the Hardy Boys. Those guys, all-time greats. Currently the tag team champions. Not for long. I think the Hardys are going to drop those titles to the Nemeth brothers pretty soon, though. I think Ryan and Nick Nemeth are going to be the next tag team champions in TNA. But they're my favorite tag team of all time. Right now, I think Fraxium is probably the answer. Those guys have been putting on great matches since the inception of their partnership. And I will say early on, I'm always going to be honest and transparent with you guys. It took a minute there early on. I wasn't as invested in them, but watching their work, watching the continuing of their stories, Fraxium I think is the best tag team the WWE has right now. How do I like TNA wrestling? I like TNA wrestling. It's a nice palate cleanser, because I'm so used to the WWE style and obviously AEW style. So I tend to watch TNA every now and then. I love their stuff back in the day when it was like AJ, Samoa Joe, CD, Motor City Machine Guns, Kurt Angle, all those guys. But yeah, I like TNA. I'm a fan of theirs. Who would you say is the first influential high flyer? Oh man, I mean, I think you have to go back, right? Keep in mind, I'm only 26, so it's like to dive into like the historian of lucha libre and high flying. You'd have to look back at the guys who were the first ones to dive off of the top rope or to dive over the ropes. Even I wouldn't be able to give you an answer in terms of the first influential high flyer. I mean, probably the most influential is Ray, and so prior to him, who would it have been? I think for high flyers, they wouldn't be able to give you an answer. What's your dream car to own? Mine's a Skyline GTR 34 that Paul Walker drove in the Fast and Furious movies. I grew up loving the Transformers franchise, and the 1967 Chevy Camaro always was super appealing to me. Don't know if that's my dream car per se, but it's certainly a car that I've had an affinity for since I was a young kid. That car. If not that one, I think it'd be super cool to own a DeLorean, well known for the Back to the Future franchise. But I'm more of a movie buff. I'm not a car guy. I'm a movie buff. So it's like I'm gonna go after the cars that were in movies. My my top 5 drinks. Oh man, you're gonna hate Johnny. You're gonna hate this answer. It's boring as hell. My top 5 favorite drinks. I'm a big water drinker, so water's gonna be up there. I don't drink dark soda, so Sprite is probably gonna be number 2. Um, that's pretty much it, dude. I drink a bunch of water. Orange juice, I guess, number 3. Like my body intake of like drinks is some kind of conglomeration of milk, orange juice, water, Sprite, and like an Arizona iced tea. I don't drink soda. So yeah, that's a horrible top 5 list of drinks, but it's again, I don't really drink anything. I drink a lot of water. And I try to stay away from like sugary drinks. I don't drink caffeine or like coffee. Like the Arizona iced teas are like the only thing I think that I consume with caffeine in it. I don't do caffeine and stuff like that. I bet in the 40s a middle rope punch was considered a game changer. Dwayne, you might be onto something. I mean that okay. There's the movie out right now, Queen of the Ring, which is the story about Mildred Burke, and I want to check that movie out. And to see how pro wrestling was presented during her time, I think it would be very eye opening to see what the perception was for certain moves. I mean, there was a time where the DDT was a huge finish. I know it's not the 40s, but my example is it's like it was a finish and now it's a transitional move. So back in those days, what was considered a devastating finish? What's your top 6 foods? Damn, Warriors lost. Um, I don't know. I mean, are we going dishes? Or are we going items? I'm gonna assume dishes. I'm gonna assume dishes. Chicken parm. I can go for a mean chicken parmesan. Love that. I'm a big pasta guy, so chicken parmesan, fettuccine alfredo, or chicken alfredo, whichever one. Up to you. Those are immediately gonna be my top 2. Um, I can go for like a just a plain grilled chicken breast. Love grilled chicken breast. So that's three. Number what is that? Four. And number four, I'm gonna go wings. I love a good hot wing, man. Whether it's boneless or bone in, that's four. At number five, at number five, mm, simple tacos. Shout out to Tijuana tacos, but specifically like carne asada tacos. Something simple, with a little bit of cilantro, limon, a little bit of cebolla, onion. Sorry for our English speakers, onion. I don't do too much of it though, but something like that. Oh, and number six, I'm gonna go eggs. Any variation: scrambled, hard boiled, omelet, eggs. I'm surprised I didn't say that earlier. For a small time in wrestling, I kind of felt like technical wrestling was dying in America. No, you're right. There was a point there where it was dying. Of course, it wasn't in Japan or Mexico because those places have different styles, and that's what I love about wrestling, man. So many different styles, so many different locations. Uh, what guess? Yo, Tyler, what's up, man? It's been a long time, but we're glad to see you here back on the stream. Hopefully, you're doing well. What's your top 10 female wrestlers? Oh, so in no particular order because that's gonna take me longer. But top 10 female wrestlers, I'm gonna go AJ Lee. I'm gonna go Trish Stratus and Lita. I'm gonna throw in Mickey James. I'm gonna place that's four right there off the bat. Okay, so that's four. And this is my personal favorite. I'm not saying this is all time. I do want to preface that because some people are gonna be like, "Oh, you forgot this person." This is my list. So AJ Lee, Trish, Mickey, Lita. Easy four. Lock them in. After that, Io Sky. That's five. Um, After that, so I need five more. Let's go. I got caught up here in my because I don't want it to be too many people who are contemporary. I don't want to have too many people that are nowadays. I think if I place her on this list, Bianca Belair, because I think eventually she's gonna crack it anyway. So that's number six. At number seven, I'm gonna put Bailey. At number eight, nine, and 10. So I need three more. Wow, I need three more. That's tough. It's gonna end up being like modern wrestlers, like people like Tony Storm, Mercedes Monet, Rhea Ripley. Those are probably my last three. Whatever Mae Young had with Mark Henry was crazy because I think it was a Caucasian hand. I mean, hey, it was more of her. The hand had more of her genes. I know Zilla Fatu's photography. She's getting me and Zilla Fatu. We can FaceTime. She sends emails to his team. I'm just waiting for his team and email back to her. Hey, congrats. Hopefully that goes well. Come back to the stream and let us know how it goes, Tyler. Do I see Austin at Mania? I do. I do. I think Austin makes an appearance. I think he has a run in and helps Cody out. Avalanche moves are great, but I do kind of wish there was a bit more of a move like an Avalanche Codebreaker or Backstabber in modern WWE video games. Yeah. I think an Avalanche Codebreaker would be fire. In the game, that is. Sherry Martel and yes, Sensational Sherry and Luna Vachon are great picks as well. I debated about putting them, but that's why it was a discussion of whether or not it was like of all time or my personal list. And I didn't grow up really watching Sherry Martel and Luna Vachon like that. I mean, I watched them obviously in the archives and the reruns that would follow. But yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna put a top 10 list, I think Sensational Sherry should be there as well. Shout out to Luna Vachon as well. Very unique look. Dude, I'm writing questions for him. I mean, hey, you better have some good questions lined up for him, Tyler. You know, you want to make a good impression there. But yeah, I feel like my top 10 female wrestlers was really like a grouping of like all time and of current. But I feel like the current ones, like a Bianca and Rhea, they'd make it for me, you know, anyway. What's your five favorite WWE songs? I'm assuming entrance themes. I'm gonna go Metalingus, which is Edge, Triple H, you know, the game by Motorhead. Those two immediately. Cult of Personality for CM Punk. At number three, or sorry, my fourth option, I'm gonna go Cody, Kingdom. Love Cody's theme. And at number five, I'm gonna go The Undertaker, but it's the Ministry of Darkness version of The Undertaker, his '99 theme. Those would be my five. I remember I was visiting some family in southern Texas, which kind of had this weird mix of styles because I saw an indie show and it was a love child of the American style and the Mexican style. Sounds great to me. That sounds awesome. Imagine that Zilla Fatu and Jacob Fatu are teaming up. That would be awesome. Zilla and Jacob as a tag team? Whoa. I mean, you talk. If Jacob Fatu is a menace already, pair him up with Zilla, and those tag team titles are going to be on lock. They're not going nowhere. What's your favorite pop songs? Top five? But look, what really defines pop songs? Really? You know, because that's therein lies the issue. Is like the genre. What's defined as a pop song? Jerry the King Lawler yelling out puppies and the Attitude Era would never have happened again. No, you're right, Salvi. That was like a unique time as a wrestling fan. You're never gonna see that again in modern wrestling. And I don't know about you guys. You know, I want to hear you guys in the chat. What are our thoughts on Lawler? I was never a fan of Jerry. I thought he was obnoxious and a little over the top for me. I thought his best work was with JR because JR kind of balanced him out and was able to wrangle him back in. But I was never really a Jerry guy. I really liked Paul Heyman and Jim Ross. I thought that pairing was a lot better. Of course, I grew up on SmackDown, so I was more partial to Taz and Michael Cole. That's my, commentary team. Love Michael Cole and Taz for the SmackDown team. Even Michael Cole and JBL. I was never a Jerry Lawler guy. Move idea: you hook the head. You hook the head, jump into the air, and we're still having your opponent in a headlock. When you're falling back down, force it into your knee, but of course make sure your opponent isn't hit. The Dwayne out here was suggesting moves. What do you like about Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and Corey Graves? I like the current crop of broadcast team that they have. Okay, and he goes about Wade Barrett too. Like I said, I like the current crop of broadcasters that they have. It's a good balance of in-ring work. Obviously, I'm talking about Wade Barrett and I mean even Pat McAfee to an extent. Corey Graves had a short stint in NXT, and the knowledge of Michael Cole, and it's presented more as like a professional broadcast team with a little bit of a relaxed atmosphere. I like that it comes off natural. It doesn't feel like it's completely read from like a teleprompter like it was back then. You had to hit these certain buzzwords every now and then. So yeah, the current crop of broadcasting is awesome. You didn't mention like Vic Joseph. I'm a big fan of Vic Joseph down in NXT. Booker T, I know is not a lot of people's cup of tea, but I like Booker T. I think he's very entertaining. Dwayne says I'm waiting for my opponent. I don't think he's coming. Looks like he's a no-show tonight. Maybe something came up. Zilva 2, he's just has a match in Hog, House of Glory, against Dijak. Hey, shout out to Dijak. Great run in NXT. It's a shame that they didn't have anything from the main roster, which raises the question: why are you going to promote someone to the main roster just to not do anything with them? I told all of you he was a yellow-bellied coward. My parents didn't have extended cable UPN, so I could only watch Raw. LOL. We were the opposite. Yeah, we were the opposite. Dethroned by Eli. We didn't have access to Raw, so we only had SmackDown. So for the longest, I kept up with Monday Night Raw through their little recap of the Raw rebound. You know, that's how I kept up with Monday Night Raw. I was always a SmackDown guy. Watching The Undertaker, John Cena, JBL, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. Those guys were always on my TV. And of course, we got to see people like Triple H and Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, through the Raw rebound. Look, Dijak, he's in MLW as well. Oh man, what do I like about Dallas Page? He seems like such a great dude. I love his work with Jake Roberts and Scott Hall and Lex Luger, Mick Foley, those guys, and really being able to get them back in shape. I mean, aside from being, you know, God's gift to mankind in terms of rehabilitation for these wrestlers, solid character, solid moveset. Love the Diamond Cutter. It's one of my favorite moves of all time because the Diamond Cutter and like the RKO, obviously very similar. Love the Cutter. The theme song, the Nirvana like theme song, big fan of it, man. Love Diamond Dallas Page. Imagine Penta versus Zilla. I mean, dude, take my money now. That'd be awesome. Penta versus Zilla. Good God. I'll let everyone know once again the undeniable truth. I said he didn't have the will. Dwayne, I think you won by default, man. I don't think there's a point to revisit it. I think it's over. I mean, hey, something came up. He wasn't able to attend. You think the Timu Shield will end up being a bust? The Timu Shield? Wait, which one are you talking about? Is this the NXT group? Dethroned by Eli. I want to make sure. Were you thinking the NXT group that recently debuted, the four-man group? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's early to tell. That's hilarious though, the Timu Shield. I don't know. I want to know what's the motive. What's the end game here? Why are they attacking NXT? They attacked the tag team champions. They attacked the NXT champion. Haven't seen them go after them for a minute there. I want to know what the end game is. I don't want to say it's going to be a bust. I think it's too soon, honestly. But it might. It might be. But it's too soon. I try to be optimistic, But we'll see. I'll keep an eye. Let me get back to you on that, buddy. Man, I'm going to be talking all this now that he hasn't shown up. Oh man. Don't scare him off, man. I want him a part of the streams too. I mean, we appreciate Odyssey as well. I'll talk to you later. Take care, Johnny. Appreciate the questions, bud. WCW versus WWE in the Attitude Era. In a War Games match, who do you got and who wins? Zilla versus Jacob. Henry would be a great... Oh, wow. Yeah, Jacob Henry. Mark Henry's son would be a fun match for Zilla. Umaga versus Mark Henry throwback there. But the Attitude Era. So, I think you got to go Austin, Rock, Triple H, The Undertaker, Mankind. Kane could make it. But I want to put Mankind in there over. So, like I said, Rock, Austin, Triple H, Mankind, The Undertaker. That's my 5. WCWs is going to have to be Sting, Goldberg, and then Diamond Dallas, Booker T, and the 5th one I'll put Hogan. Who wins? WWE. Too many egos in WCW. I feel like WWE would win. Maybe if Eddie Thorpe was the leader, I'd be... Yeah, no, hey, that's not a bad idea. Dethroned by Eli. If they had some kind of a leader, someone that was behind it with a main purpose, yeah, I'm with it. Don't know if it's Eddie Thorpe, but the reasoning is still there. Not a bad idea. I like that. Your presence was enough to scare him away. I know that he this fight, so he did the wise thing and saved his career. Okay. Okay, buddy. I think we're taking this a little too much entrance there, Dwayne. I mean, you're already won. I mean, you're beating a dead horse here, pal. I mean, but nonetheless, I mean, we didn't do the poll. We originally were gonna do a poll, and there's really no need for it at this point. It's a de facto win. That's 2-0, 2-0 Dwayne. And we said if Odyssey got the win, it would be a best out of three, but no need for it. Now it's back-to-back dubs for Dwayne. So congrats to Dwayne on that regard. Maybe he will show up someday. Maybe. Who knows? If I had a podcast, I'd invite you on. I appreciate that, bud. I could talk to you for hours. I really appreciate and enjoy your live stream. Hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all the questions in the comments by our members of the J area here. It's a great opportunity to really expand our horizons in regards to pro wrestling, and we're able to talk about all types of generations. I mean, and today we talked about, the golden era, the new generation era, the attitude era. That'd be awesome. I would love to figure out a way, if I could, to get like calls. Can you imagine if we had like a radio show basically and had people call in with questions or comments? That'd be cool. I got to figure that out. I'm still new to the game when it comes to live streaming, so bear with me in that regard, but I really appreciate your guys' participation and your involvement, not only in the live streams, but in the other videos as well, whether it's the J Area Wrestling Podcast or the shorts, the memberships. It really does mean the world. And to see the growth the channel has made in the last year, and to see all the people that have been with us since the beginning, and the people who have joined us along the way. I mean, my heart has so much gratifying feelings for everybody. So thank you. Now since my ego is overgrown, I don't think anybody's gonna take you on that open challenge, bud. I think they've seen the words and they're like, you know what? I don't want no business of it. Who would you have Owen Hart and Eddie Guerrero wrestle in a tag team match against today's wrestlers? Ooh, Salvi. Okay. Today's wrestlers. So I'm going to do two answers. I'm going to do a tag team that's already set, and then a mix of two individuals. For the tag team, I kind of want to see them versus FTR, or formerly known as the Revival. I think that'd be really cool. The technician aspect of it, have FTR work as the heels. I would love to see that. If not them, and you want a WWE answer, I'm gonna go with like Motor City Machine Guns, someone like that. But that's the tag team. If I had to make a mix match of them, I would say AJ Styles, and he has to team up with that's a good one, actually. AJ Styles for sure. Because you guys know I have a favorite type of wrestler. Finn. Like a Bullet Club kind of a reunion. Owen and Eddie versus Finn and AJ. For a mixed match. And if it was a tag team, put them up against FTR or the Machine Guns. Maybe I can try to get Zillifa on your pod. Impact's going to be fire. Hey, well, first off, I hope it goes well with Zillifa too. I would love to have a conversation with him. I think he's going to be one of the best up-and-coming stars in pro wrestling. Whether or not he chooses to pursue WWE or not, has a promising future. And, I mean, hey, best of luck to you in regards to that interview. Are you familiar with Matt Troyes? He does the same thing as you. I bet you know who... Oh, yeah. Matt, I can't say, but Santi, oh my god, yeah. Yeah, Santi, I watch his stuff every now and then. I don't really watch a lot of his live streams. I watch more of his like videos. I don't catch his live streams because sometimes I'm not watching the show live. And if I am, I don't have a live stream on at the same time. But yeah, Santi Zap, I enjoy his work. I know Con Man's another one. Wheezy Blonde, I watch some of her stuff as well. Um, those are like the main like creators that I keep up with. There's others too, but I feel like those are the ones that many people would recognize. And I like their work. I like their work. It's cool to see them on like on those clips during the episodes of Raw and SmackDown, and seeing their streams for like these big moments. So yeah, I've thought about it. I've thought about doing live reactions to the shows, but it's like sometimes it doesn't line up with like my schedule. Maybe some days I'm working, maybe some days I'm not, or it doesn't line up. But yeah, I do love their work. I support all content creators, especially in the realm of pro wrestling content creation. So thank you, Death by or Dethroned by Eli. Thank you for that. I know Jacob fought too. He's been 12. Yeah, yeah, that dude pops out. Well, I mean, he doesn't pop them out, but yeah, he has kids, man. I mean, that bloodline ain't going nowhere. Do you remember those horrible John Cena heel theme songs? You can find, yeah, yeah, and that's why part of me is like, okay, like if they're not gonna change his theme song, part of me is okay with it. My issue with Roman versus Punk versus Seth are face babyface. I think Seth Rollins is turning heel. He's definitely on the verge. But what I like about Roman, Punk, and Rollins is they all are kind of on the verge of babyface and heels. I mean, they're their own distinct characters. They both, or they all three, have their faults. They all have their character flaws. But at the same time, you can reason with them and have this connection with why the way they are. So it's not even a matter of like who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. It's just who do I like? Who's my favorite out of these three? I got no problem with the triple threat. I would have loved to have seen Punk in a title matchup at Mania, but the star power of a Rollins, Punk, and Roman matchup is ridiculous. So, what's the saying? Beggars can't be choosers. And I'm not on the creative team. I'm going to watch WrestleMania regardless. I've seen some pretty bad WrestleManias in my day, and this one does not seem to be like those bad WrestleManias. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The triple threat match should be fire. Like, seriously, they would be like distorted music played back. Yeah, yeah, turn it up. And yes, I know I put that because that's why they did it. But how much they do slow it down. Yeah. That's why I usually stay off of that side of YouTube. But I hear you. Do you think Zilla Fatu shows up with Carlos Estrada on NXT? That'd be crazy. I kind of hope so. I kind of hope so. That'd be kind of fire to have him as a mouthpiece, the way like Umaga. Oh, that'd be cool. Um, I don't think so. Maybe I don't know. Maybe my head wants to say no, but again, it's like, what do I know, right? But I feel like we need more managers and like mouthpieces for these wrestlers. It's a lost art. Penta versus Breaker is gonna be fire. Oh my god, I can't wait. Is it gonna be the Mania matchup or are we gonna get multi man? Because that's the question. Is it gonna be like a multi man matchup or is it gonna be 1-on-1? Regardless, we will be seated. We will definitely be watching that. And I think maybe Penta gets the win. Let me tell you something. Back when I was a teenage years, when I was 16, 18, I think I was the only guy posting wrestling content on Newgrounds. A a trailblazer, if you will. What's one match that did happen that you wanted to see in wrestling history? That did or didn't happen? What's one match that did happen that you wanted to see in wrestling history? because I wasn't sure if you meant if that did happen. Didn't happen. Okay, that's what I thought. Um, Again, I'm partial, dude. Eddie versus Shawn Michaels. That's the one match I really wanted to see. Even as a young fan growing up, that was the match. Eddie was my guy. Shawn was my guy. See those two at WrestleMania. Taker versus Sting. That's another one. Those are probably the two. Taker versus Sting. And that one doesn't even have to be a long match, but just to have them in the ring together, that aura that would have been in the ring. Taker versus Sting. That would have been fire. But my answer, Shawn and Eddie. That's the dream match. I think Sanfran agrees with me. We talked about it in the past, and on another live stream, I think he had mentioned that that was a dream match of his, Shawn and Eddie. They would have tore the house down. Speaking of Newgrounds, there's two sides to that website. Talented creators who are very happy to be able to express themselves without censorship, and I can't say getting you to monetize. Oh, getting you to monetize. Honestly, and I haven't even heard of Newsgrounds. This is new to me. I'm not familiar with that site. I don't like the Elimination Chamber because only one match is sucks. Are you saying one of the chambers sucks? You're saying that one match sucks? I thought the Elimination Chamber show was actually pretty good. Both chambers I thought delivered. The unsanctioned matchup between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was fantastic. I really enjoyed that one as well. But I mean, hey, everyone has their taste. Everyone has their opinions when it comes to their style of wrestling or their serving of wrestling. So I mean, it's everyone's opinion. It's all subjective. We don't shame here. I'm just talking about Nia match. I don't like Elimination Chamber because only one match is sucks. Oh, the tag team matchup. I mean, that was fine. I wouldn't say. Yeah, Nia Jax and Candice LeRae versus Trish and Tiffany. The match is what it is. I mean, what were we expecting? Tiffany wasn't going to lose that matchup. They were going to win that match. But to say like you didn't like the event because one match was bad, I don't think that's fair. It's like saying, "Oh, I hated this movie because 10 minutes in the movie, not even the beginning or ending, but like 10 minutes in the middle of the movie I didn't like." It's like, well, that's not fair. You know, to say you didn't like an event because of one match. There's plenty. It's very rare for an event to have like to be perfect. Like every match is great. Very rare. There's always going to be that one match that could have been better or wasn't as good as we thought. See, 9 out of 10 is not bad. Like you said you didn't like the Elimination Chamber and you gave it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 is really good. Like that's an 8. That's an A. 90%? That's a pretty damn good review. That's really good. And I feel like what really made it was the chamber matches and the unsanctioned matchup. Yeah, the tag team match is going to be an afterthought. We're not really going to remember that one because John Cena turned heel. I mean, it is a really impactful way to end a show for sure. And it's like I said with the movie analogy. Sometimes it can be an average movie, but if the ending nails it, it like trumps everything that happened before it. And you remember the ending. You're like, wow, what a great movie. So sometimes all you need is well, I shouldn't say all you need, but sometimes the ending is what matters the most. How did you stick the landing? But a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 is fantastic. Chamber is weird to me because it's basically like if you made it, so you put someone in a hell in a cell without weapons, and then so people come out in intervals. Well, I mean, it's very much like the War Games matchup. The Elimination Chamber took inspiration from like the Royal Rumble, the War Games, and the Survivor Series elimination matches. When do you oh, I like yeah, the AEW pay-per-view was good. Revolution, solid top to bottom. When do you think we see Phoenix and Penta on TV? I mean, I think we're going to see Penta before Mania. When do we see Penta and Phoenix together as a tag team? I don't think they're gonna pull the trigger early. I think they're gonna want to build up Phoenix and Penta as single stars, and so down the road, when they team up, it's gonna be even bigger. You know, it's gonna be a bigger moment. So I think they're gonna take time to build up Phoenix first, but I do think that Phoenix appears before Mania. And they decided that half the time the match is going to just suck and be the worst match on the show, and the other times it's going to be the reverse. Yeah, it's a hit or miss. The Chamber's either going to be really good, it's going to be really bad. There's like no in between. It's hard to have an average Chamber matchup. It's either going to be bad or it's going to be great. Oh, Odyssey, you're like hella late. Finally, like the final boss has come back to the chat. Here we go. Dwayne's in the chat. Odyssey's in the chat. The matchup we've been waiting for all night. Or all stream, I should say. Oh, how is this gonna go? I mean, you both are in the chat now. I might as well throw it up there. You win. Phoenix and Penta. Oh my god. I don't know about Ray and Dom. I think it'd probably be more likely to see like Ray, Phoenix, and Penta. Uh, no, it'd probably be like the Lucha Brothers versus the LWO in like a friendly competition, not like in a bad blood type of a matchup, but in a friendly tag team matchup. Dominic is not teaming up with Ray for a minute. I think maybe they'll eventually team up and they'll become a tag team, or but to have a run like that, I don't know. I think I would rather see Dragon Lee and Dom. Who wins? I think the Lucha Brothers. Ray and Dominic, I mean, they're cool and all, but I mean, Lucha Brothers are winning that one. Ray's going towards the end of his career. Dominic is still relatively young, and the Lucha Brothers have more experience as a tag team, more tag team accolades. They've crossed promotions like in Mexico and AEW and TNA. I'm going to go with the Lucha Brothers very confidently. Very confidently. Well, since we finally have them both in the chat, I promised them I'd throw it up a poll and see if we get any intrigue, see anybody that's interested in voting there. The end isn't here, but yeah, this will probably put the feud to bed. But I would definitely love to see the Lucha Brothers team up in the WWE. I do think we're not going to see it early on. Like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a build. Penta's developing a lot of momentum and fanfare with the crowd. I think Phoenix is going to go through a similar type of a build there. And then down the road, we'll get them to tag team. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do it immediately. But I think it would behoove them. It would benefit them more to build up Phoenix like the way they built up Penta. Eddie and Chavo versus Ray and Dom. Now that's a good one. I like this one. I'm still gonna go with the Guerreros. I don't think Ray and Dom get the victory, mostly because of Dominic. I think he sells in that regard. I'm gonna go with the Guerreros, but that would be a fire matchup. I think both would be fire matchups. If we can get a three-way between the Lucha Brothers, the Guerreros, and the Mysterios, take my money. Take my money now. We're going to put the wax seal and the maker's mark of the feud in this match. We'll see if we can get. Well, let's go 25 votes. Oh, maybe more because there's already 5 votes now. But I'm thinking 25 votes might be the mark. Because I know in the last poll, I think it was like 23, 22 votes. And it kind of just stopped. But right now, I mean, hey, 3-2 in favor of Dwayne. And it's only 2 minutes in. 50-50 now. Like I said, we'll check back on the poll when it hits like 25. And then we'll see. Even if it hits 25, because in the last poll, it was like 22, 23. A fiery promo there by Dwayne. Says, I'm the only person in this arena surrounded by adoring fans, and still my opponent showed up late, didn't even hear my promo I cut on him earlier. And now he expects to win? I don't think so. How many does Penta has now he's on fire? Are you saying wins? I lost track of how many wins he has. Penta has been on fire though. He's been looking great. The presentation, the ring entrance. I don't even have to talk about his in-ring athletic bit. Oh, the wins? I don't know how many wins he has. The only loss he had was in a triple threat match, and he didn't get pinned. He wasn't pinned in that matchup. But he has been on fire. I mean, Penta, like I said, the everything about him, the presentation, the entrance, don't even have to talk about his in-ring ability because he's just that damn good. He's gonna win that IC title. Whether it's now or later, he's gonna win that IC title. He's looking great. Can't wait to see what's next for him. Obviously, he has his eyes set on Braun Breaker. Will that be at WrestleMania? Will it be a multi-man matchup? Will it be a one-on-one matchup? You and I, we're gonna have to wait and see how that goes. Meanwhile, in the chat, the poll is running 60% in favor of Dwayne. Odyssey says, I don't cut promos, I cut reality. Odyssey is failing. His career is now over. He's barely ever come close to me. In skills, he calls me a jobber. It's still he chose run until it seemed ideal for him to run in. What's the heat had simmer? I mean, yeah, I will say he's got you in that regard. But again, I tried defending you, Odyssey. I tried saying, hey, maybe something came up. Maybe maybe they're not able to attend. Alright, then how about I give you the reality of the matter that you have yet to win against me? I mean, and it's looking like it's going to be a runaway again. We're now 12 votes in, 67% in favor of Dwayne. $69, 67%, 69%. Okay, he's jumping back and forth now. If you're just joining us here on the live stream, my name is Jose Ramos Jr., fan of pro wrestling. We were discussing the recap of Monday Night Raw, namely the segment between Cody Rhodes and John Cena, and whether or not that was really the best segment of the year. I mean, it's still early. It's in the month of March, the early months of 2025, but it has the argument to be made that it's probably an all-timer. The way the crowd was involved in the interaction between Cody and John Cena, the story building that we had in regards to the heel turn of now John Cena, it's all-timer. It was a great moment, great crowd, great investment of the story. We look forward to the main event of WrestleMania 41, where Cody Rhodes will defend his WWE title against John Cena, the very same title that Cena has held 13 times over, not to mention a 3-time world champion, to make a grand total of 16 times as a world champion. Cena looks to win his 17th title, breaking the legendary Ric Flair's title record. Will he do it? We'll have to wait and see until April 20th for WrestleMania 41. And that is my little cheap plug as a broadcast announcer. Odyssey says, Dwayne says, Odyssey, you talked, but you couldn't walk. You came to me for a match, I accepted, and you lost. I gave you a rematch and you're losing again. 16 votes are in, and it's looking like it's 69%. Dwayne, 31 for Odyssey. Can the comeback happen? It's a possibility. But just like Kate Bush, he's going to have to be running up that hill to try and regain a level of momentum and gain favor over his arch nemesis, Dwayne. If anything, Odyssey is due for a very long Odyssey in regards to beating Dwayne. Salvi says, why can't Dwayne and Odyssey get along? Salvi, this feud has been brewing for days. Long days. And Odyssey is the one that issuing a challenge at WrestleMania against Dwayne, which Dwayne gladly accepted. And since then, it's been an uphill battle for our friend Odyssey to gain a level of success against Mr. Mitchell here. Why can't they get along? Because bad blood runs deep. And I don't know if we're ever going to be seeing this relationship being repaired. The final boss never loses. Dwayne, you're nothing, says Odyssey. But Dwayne comes back and says, because we are polar opposites, I am great and he is horrible. It's as simple as that, my friend. There's your answer, Salvi. No love lost between these pair of foes. And with 21 votes in, 71% in favor of Dwayne, 29% for Odyssey. Again, is the comeback possible? Absolutely. But it's getting out of hand. 73% now in favor of Dwayne. We're looking at 24 votes now in for the chat. We're probably going to call on it. The final boss will stop the chat. He did not say stop the count. That's wild. Let me point out the facts for everyone here. He ran away for the most part. He came back. And when it seemed ideal, he couldn't be on time because he didn't respect the game. Shots are being called out here. 25 votes are in. I was originally going to call it at 25 votes. We're now at the 26 mark. And again, 69% in favor for Dwayne. It's not looking good. I think we might have to pull the plug at 30. And even then, if we wait till 30 votes, it's not looking good. 70% now in favor of Dwayne. It's not looking good. 28 votes now. We're 2 votes away from pulling it here. Again, because I don't see it. The odds are insurmountable. In other news, we also have that poll I was mentioning earlier. For those who are just joining us in the chat, we do have a live poll going on for the discussion on Thursday's live stream. This week's discussion is going to be focused on WrestleMania and some of the best moments in WrestleMania history. Our 4 options this week will include Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13 in his legendary matchup against Bret Hart in the submission match that solidified him as the Texas Rattlesnake and the next certified superstar in the WWE. Our second choice is the WrestleMania 10 ladder match where Razor Ramon fought against Shawn Michaels to crown the undisputed Intercontinental Championship. Again, another showcase for Shawn and Razor, as well as the first ever televised ladder match in the WWE's young history. Following that, we have another Shawn Michaels matchup because you know I'm biased and he's my favorite wrestler of all time. We have Shawn versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, Houston, Texas, widely regarded as one of, if not the greatest, wrestling matches in the company's history. And finally, at number 4, our final option, WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, crowning moment here on the Miracle on Bourbon Street, and it's definitely a moment that was surreal for pro wrestling fans of all ages. Whether you followed Ring of Honor, NXT, WWE, it doesn't matter. Daniel Bryan had a meteoric rise in large part due to his technical ability and his connection with the crowd. All are real viable options to win the stream poll this week. So make sure you place your vote this week in order to have a say in what our topic will be this upcoming Thursday's live stream. I'm a bad man. I respect what needs to be respected. You seem to be in listen. Yo, we all love wrestling. That's why I on this live. I hate toxic garbage. This is my new go-to live. Please stop the BS. I'm with you, Salvi, and that's why I really enjoy the live streams. Obviously, when it comes to Odyssey and Dwayne, this is all fun. This is all for kicks and giggles, if you will. Um, there's not really any bad. I don't like. I would like to think there's not really bad blood. I think it's just again, who is Dwayne in Odyssey? Why are they beefing? It's just a fun game. I mean, these guys have been going at it since yesterday, but I agree with you wholeheartedly, Salvi. There's a lot of toxicity when it comes to the internet and talking about pro wrestling, and I don't like it. I especially don't like the tribalism in pro wrestling, where it's like you can't love one wrestling company over the other. I was never a fan of that. If I'm gonna watch wrestling, I'm gonna watch wrestling because I'm a fan of wrestling. AEW, TNA, WWE, New Japan, MLW, GCW, all the acronyms in the world, I'm gonna watch it. So I appreciate that you consider this the new go-to live. I look forward to seeing people like Salvi, like Tyler, like Sanfran, like Mama Ramos, like the Diva, like Gabs, Sylvia, Alex, Kevin. Dude, there's so many people that I know I haven't named, but it's because the community is continuing to grow exponentially, and it's become my favorite part of the day is coming on live and just hanging out with you guys. Whether it's pro wrestling, whether some people have questions about music and movies and other sports, it doesn't matter to me because I get to be here with my friends, my new friends here on YouTube, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Salvi, for that. We all love wrestling. That's why we're here. Pro wrestling market is fire. It really is. We're gonna call the poll here. By the way, I'm sorry. It's just there's no comeback at this point. We're gonna call it there. The lead is it's crazy. That's a tough one. We're gonna call it there. I said 25. I was gonna give it 30, but it's not moving anymore. Tyler, the pro wrestling market is fire. I completely agree, and I love the fact that there's so much competition and there's so much quality wrestling being presented out there because I've said first and foremost, it allows opportunity. It allows opportunity for the fans to have a taste in different forms of wrestling, a different art form, whether it's technical, lucha libre, strong style. There's so many different versions of pro wrestling, and I love it. I love it. It's great as a fan. It is a high point as a fan, but it's even better for those who are in the business. The people who are the pro wrestlers, who are actually having the matches, looking for work and aspiring to be the next superstar. For the people who are, in creative, writing the storyline, the production team, who's working the television, shows, who's working as the ring crew. All these men and women who are looking for opportunities to break into the business or to just have a way of making money and making a living. When you have so many different companies and so many different outlets to choose from, it's great for the business and it's great for the people. I love it. It's a great source of entertainment. We've had we've had times where people, like to jump in and have their comments, like, oh, wrestling's fake. And it's like, so what? So what? Everything's fake. Reality TV is fake. Some people like to argue that the NFL and NBA are rigged. What is real anymore? Dude, get over it. It's a show. It's for entertainment purposes. And I've never understood that stigma. I listen to Chris Van Vliet. I'm a big fan of his. Everyone knows this who's been on the streams. And he says it best. That we don't understand that stigma. Why is it that pro wrestling always gets that nasty tone of like, well, it's fake. Well, it's like, yeah. Like anything else on TV. When you're watching, I don't know, like for example, Daredevil just came out on Disney Plus, the latest MCU TV show. Well, Daredevil's not real. You think there's a blind man out there fighting crime as a vigilante, but no one ever says like, well, it's fake, right? Well, no, it's a show, it's a program. It doesn't bother me, when I see those comments where it's like, oh, it's fake. It's like, okay, it's like, be original, come up with something better. Don't waste my time, because this channel, this live stream is dedicated to the people who are actually invested in what we're talking about in pro wrestling. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not the biggest tennis fan. I'm not. Does that matter? No, not really. But here's the thing. If I'm on YouTube and I'm going to go on a live stream and I see that they're talking about tennis, why would I go on their live stream and comment, "Oh, tennis sucks. Serena Williams isn't even that good." Why would I do that? That's just wasting my time and wasting their time. So I don't get why people take it upon themselves to go on the internet and spew that kind of negativity. I think it's so counterproductive. I really do. I've always believed in the saying that a moment in negativity is a moment wasted. Why am I going to do that? We only have so much time here on this earth, and I'm not going to use it to certainly put down someone else's source of entertainment. There may be things I don't like, but I have an appreciation for it. I can see why people are interested in it. I'm not a fan of tennis, but for people who are, I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. I'm not going to invalidate their feelings about the sport. So why would you do it about anything else? I don't know. I'm going to hop off of my soapbox there in regards to it. It's something that really gets me going because it's dumb. It's just dumb. Tyler says, I think maybe I'm thinking about going to AEW's. Oh yeah, the Double or Nothing pay-per-view that will be coming to a Glendale, Arizona. Should be a solid pay-per-view. We're debating about going there as well, actually. So, should be a good card. AEW's pay-per-views, usually deliver. I don't think they've had a bad pay-per-view. They've had bad pay-per-view matches, but overall as a pay-per-view, they usually deliver. Why that I'm starting on pro wrestling. Salute to For Rope CEO. He's putting on pro wrestling as a music artist. Right on. Appreciate that. Well, where has he disappeared to run backstage? Yeah, it's over, Dwayne. I mean, clearly you won 2-0. Congrats on the victory. But awesome. That was an awesome comment there by Salvi, and I appreciate that because I really do feel a type of way about the toxicity and the negativity in the pro wrestling community. Again, like I said, namely the tribalism, I don't believe in that. I don't believe if you're a fan of one thing, it's like, oh, I can't like this other show. If I'm watching a TV show, for example, Walking Dead, back in the day, of course. Why can't you be a fan of The Walking Dead and also keep up with Breaking Bad? It's like you can't, oh no, you like Walking Dead, so you can't like Breaking Bad or The Sopranos or Game of Thrones or whatever show is out there. It's like, no, if you like the show, you like the show. You shouldn't have to choose. Why do people think soap operas and telenovelas are okay to watch but not wrestling? If anything, dude, I feel like wrestling's an even better version of it. Because it's action. They're fighting in the ring. When people say, oh, it's like a soap opera, you're not wrong. It very much is like a soap opera. The only difference is the issues are resolved in the ring. And so people kind of laugh at that, the accusation that wrestling is for kids or that it's immature or it's fake. It's like, okay, then don't watch it. No one's forcing you to watch it, bud. But for the people like me and everyone else in the chat here who are watching it, let us be. Leave us alone. We don't need you here. But for the people who are invested in the story, who keep up with the matches, and have lifelong memories with this form of entertainment, leave them alone. Because I don't know about you guys, but pro wrestling has been there for me in the darkest moments of my life. And I very much credit it with helping me pull out of those dark moments. I don't know where I would be without it. I know first and foremost my family will always be number one. Always be number one. A great support system I have with my friends and my family. But as a form of entertainment, pro wrestling has done so much for not only me, but for so many other people and the stories that they have told to millions and millions of people around the world. It is the greatest form of entertainment, and I stand by that because of its athleticism, because of its storytelling, because of the moves, the music, and like we saw on Raw today, the crowd. It is like a sports event, it is like a soap opera, and a rock concert, all in one when done correctly. There's nothing like it. And to attend it live is even better because then you get to experience all of it. There's nothing like it, man. It's difficult to explain. You just have to experience it. Words cannot put it, words cannot justify it. It really can't. I could try my hardest to explain to someone like why it is what it is and why it's this great form of entertainment. But sometimes, man, you just got to sit down and watch it and just experience it for yourself. Some of the storylines are better than some novellas. Charlie's right on. And first of all, what's up, Charlie? It's been a minute. Love to see you, bud. But yeah, some of these storylines are just better than not even novellas, but like better than movies. Like some of these sagas. I mean, you talk about the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. You talk about CM Punk's rise in 2011, Daniel Bryan's rise in 2014, Kofi Mania, Cody finishing his story. Like so many just great storylines that really resonate with fans. Pro wrestling fans are better than UFC fans. I'm not gonna tear down the UFC fans. I don't really watch UFC. I might catch it every now and then, but I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a big fan of it. So I don't know, but pro wrestling fans are rabid. I love it, love it, and it's cool when you're able to interact with a fellow pro wrestling fan because it's like, oh, you like it too, and that's like instantly. Like I've formed friendships with people because of pro wrestling. Oh, you're a fan too. Who's your favorite? And it's like instantly you click. I like UFC too, and any sports. I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan of like football, basketball, boxing. Those are mine, and of course pro wrestling. Theater, yeah, absolutely, it's theater. Absolutely, it's great. It's great. It's a great form of entertainment. There's humor. There's there's horror elements. There's heart. There's emotion. It's literally everything all compacted into one, and it's very much like a variety show. You know, a little bit of everything for everybody. There's so many people in the roster. You're bound to become a fan of someone. Let the host choose the match. I think there's only one match to go through. Hell in a Cell. I think it has to be Hell in a Cell. It has to be Hell in a Cell. It's the ultimate feud ender. You think of matches like Taker versus Shawn. Most recently, Punk and McIntyre. Taker versus Lesnar. Triple H versus Cactus Jack. I think it has to be Hell in a Cell. I feel like you should just make a video with us as creative characters and simulate a match at this point. That's funny you mentioned that, Dwayne. San Fran, my brother, had mentioned, he's like, what if we just had, each choose a superstar as their representative and simulate the match? Because I don't know about created characters. I don't do the created stuff. But it's like if they were to choose like their avatar. For example, WrestleMania 23, the Battle of the Billionaires. Trump and um, McMahon had to choose the wrestlers. Trump had Bobby Lashley. McMahon had Umaga. was disappointed in Cena not changing his attire. However, I get it. I'm with you, Odyssey. I look at the way John Cena explained it and was like, "You don't deserve it. I'm not changing my gear. I'm not changing my music." I was like, "Okay, that's valid." Because him changing it is something the fans wanted to see. So why would I give what the fans want? So I'm not mad at it. Gavs, what's going on? I grew up with three brothers watching wrestling all the time, but haven't really met a lot of females liking the sport. They think it's a guy thing. That's something I very much would love to see change. I've seen a lot of like female content creators recently, dive into the world of pro wrestling. And it's like, dude, I get it. In the 2000s, for women's wrestling, sorry, it wasn't the wrestling that we would have loved to have seen. I look at, there were solid competitors like Victoria, Trish Stratus, Mickey James, but they weren't presented in a favorable light. They weren't presented as equals to the men, even though they had the talent. So I don't fault them for that. But when you look at the women's roster now, people like Io, Bianca, and Rhea, me personally, I feel like these are stars that people can gravitate towards. Not just, girls, but also the guys. For when we started watching wrestling, my brother and I, it was very much between him and I and our dad. And over the years, my mom and sister, they became fans and they gravitated towards Rhea or like Bianca. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who can gravitate towards other people on the roster. So I'm with you, Gaps. I haven't met a lot of female wrestling fans. I want to see that change, because I think at this point in society and the way the show is structured and booked, it's no longer just a guy thing. It's for everybody. And like I said earlier, like a variety show, there's going to be kids who are fans of Cody. There's going to be grown men who are more fans of Gunther. And then for the girls, they love Bianca. There's a little bit of something for everybody. And that's the basis of pro wrestling. There's something for everybody, and I love it. Thank you for the comment, Gabs. It's not just a guy thing. It should be for everybody. AAA was an awesome program. They don't really show it as much, do they? Inferno match was crazy. Salvi, that's funny you mentioned that. San Fran and I, we had just shown Mama Ramos the Inferno match of Armageddon 2006 where Kane defeats MVP. So it's funny you said that. We recently just watched that matchup. Let's see. WrestleMania 23, Ford Field in Detroit. That's right. Redo the poll. I was driving. Odyssey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the driving affects it. Honestly, the driving doesn't affect the poll. You know what? This is a serious proposal. Why don't you just simulate the Hell in a Cell match with us as created characters? I understand you, host. Yeah, it's a potential. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I honestly don't really have the time to create them. That's why I think it's just better off if you guys were to choose your avatars, choose your wrestlers. I love to see the new generation watching the sport, boys crying because Cena turned heel. Gabs, I'm with you. I love it. I mean, I don't like seeing kids cry, but I love to see they care. That there's that level of investment. So it's not that I enjoy seeing people cry, but I enjoy seeing people care. And it means something to them. If someone is able to shed a tear because of a movie, because of a song, because of pro wrestling, that means it means something to them. And I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that. It resonates with them. It's powerful. That emotion's powerful. But yeah, I love seeing the new fans, the younger generations getting into the sport, and it's cool to live vicariously through them, because I can remember being a young fan and watching people like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Taker, Shawn, John Cena, The Rock, and just feeling a type of way when I heard their music and see them. That was awesome. It takes me back. It's very nostalgic. Muhammad's an interesting fact. Hunter missed that WrestleMania, and it's Benoit's fault. Yeah, this is true. He tore his quad at New Year's Revolution. Something we covered in today's episode of the JR Wrestling Podcast and the Benoit final one. That's correct. Okay, I'm choosing Roddy Piper if you have them. If not, Macho Man. Yeah, we have Piper. The possibility is always there, so there's my choices if you do it. You got Piper and Savage, and we got to hear about Odyssey then. But we do have Piper. Salvi, do we get a Rock and Hogan moment this year with Cena and Cody at WrestleMania? I think so. I think this is going to be the passing of the torch. I don't see, as of right now, the way it's being built, I don't think I can see John Cena winning. It could change. My opinion could change. Because I don't think we're going to have Cena win in his first title matchup. I think he's going to lose and get desperate and win Money in the Bank and then cash in as a heel. But I do think we're going to get a moment here where Cody gets over Cena and becomes, officially crowned. He beat Roman, but you beat Roman and you beat Cena in back-to-back Manias. That's, whoa. I mean, that's impressive. Then again, no, I was going to say The Undertaker did it, but The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania 33. The best WrestleMania ever, and Cena is acting like The Miz and Batista at the same time. And I like this Cena. I mean, I don't like him because he's a heel. Team Cody all the way. But it's refreshing. It's something different. So I'm a fan of it. We're going to go for another 9 minutes here and finish off at the end of the hour. So again, we're going to call it here on our West Coast. It'll be 11 o'clock. Not sure where it's going to be on the East Coast or other places of the world. I was never really that well in terms of telling time across the globe. Still learning the conversions. But regardless, hey, so get your comments in, your questions in. We have another 9 minutes on the stream. It's been a great one, man. We got to talk about John Cena and Cody Rhodes. A heated debate between Odyssey and Dwayne there. And great participation, great questions here all around. Finally got to bring back the old setup. I mean, for the last couple weeks, we've been doing the vertical lives, which were fun. I might be doing those one-offs every now and then, maybe one day dedicated to them. But regardless, it'll be a great one. And again, don't forget to vote on the poll for the topic this Thursday: WrestleMania 10, WrestleMania 13, WrestleMania 30, and WrestleMania 25. Look in the community tab for further information in regards to those topics, and we'll have another live on Thursday. That's WrestleMania. But also, it would be a dick move for Odyssey to pick The Rock while I have the Rowdy one. It would. And that's why I'm like, we might have to do the created stars. We might. But it all depends on who they choose. As long as it's someone's reasonable. If it's someone reasonable, then I think we can go through with it. If not, it might have to be a created superstar. But again, I won't front with you. To create the wrestlers, it might take me some time. With work and everything. But I love the pick of Roddy Piper. That's my go-to in the 80s. I was never a Hogan guy. Those in the chat, they already know. I've never liked Hogan. I've always been more of a Roddy Piper guy. Savage as well, so ironically enough, when you pick two of the guys I would pick over Hogan any day. But then again, I'd pick anybody over Hogan. But in his era, I should say. Who was the better IC champ, Austin or The Rock? I think I'm going to go with The Rock. Austin, I know he won the IC title, but I never really saw him as the Intercontinental Champion. His legacy more in line with the WWE title. I look at a guy like The Rock, and he held it as a member of the Nation a couple of times, even as Rocky Maivia. So I'm going to go with The Rock. And what do you call a stupid but funny concept? Is that supposed to be a joke or is this a genuine question? What do you call a stupid but funny concept? What do you call it? Because I don't know is that a genuine question or is that a joke, like a pun? Because if it's a genuine joke, a stupid but funny concept, I mean, it's a genuine question. The whole gimmick on a pole stuff, I think I think they're funny. It's definitely stupid. But to see, like, for example, the shillelagh on a pole match, there was there was one, Judy Bagwell on a pole matchup, but it was actually like on a forklift. But it was the same concept. I might be wrong, but I want to say in WCW there was like Viagra on a pole. I want to say that's an actual thing, but I feel like in WCW they had like a Viagra on a pole match. So I think it's stupid, but part of me thinks it's funny. I feel like here's a missed opportunity. A Hornswoggle on a pole. I mean, honestly, yeah. When Finley was like feuding with JBL, they could have had that match. You know, they could have. But yeah, a missed opportunity. Maybe it's for the best they didn't do that though. Maybe. Shout out to Hornswoggle though. Dylan is definitely one of the funniest cats there are. His interview with the Undertaker was pretty funny, and his interview with Chris Van Vliet as well. It's funny, dude. What wrestlers? And Hornswoggle with the steel chair reuses as a chair to the shin. I think Salvi. Maybe your question got cut off there. But yeah, as we begin to wrap up the stream, again, I'm still looking at the comments here in the chat, so feel free to drop those off. As we begin to start close down on the stream, of course, we're gonna have another video Wednesday and Friday. We're gonna have another live stream on Thursday. We're gonna see that. Following that on Sunday as well, and then with videos throughout the week, like shorts, for example. But again, these live streams have been the best part of the channel, and we appreciate that so much. Dwarf Wrestling is incredibly funny. There's like a mini wrestling league out here in AZ, so I know Sanfran has made the joke of like us attending it, but we'll see. But with that being said, again, want to give out major props and thanks to everybody that joined us in today's live stream in the chat, both old members, new members, and everything in between. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. To see you guys continuing to show up and show out for these streams has been a blessing, man. You know, I always, again, try to be transparent and let you guys know how valued you guys are. And thank you for your continued support as we lead into 2025. I said it's going to be a big year, and it's continuing on that path. WrestleMania 41, only weeks away. We're still going to be covering all the content that you can think of when it comes to WWE and some more AEW. The last stream, we had some more AEW discussions there, so that'll be fun to see as we lead towards Dynasty as well. With that being said, hopefully you guys will join us on Thursday's live stream, where you're going to have an opportunity to vote for the topic at hand. Again, that's WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. WrestleMania 10, the ladder match. WrestleMania 25, Taker versus Shawn. Or WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan wins the World Championship. All, I think, fitting topics to have on this road to WrestleMania. So we hope to see you then and there. One final thing by Dwayne here, man. I feel like it's incredibly stupid that me and Odyssey are actually doing better than a few storylines in the 90s. It's honestly, it's not. It's not that stupid, honestly. Gab says Dwayne. Gabs acknowledges Dwayne. It's not that stupid because the 90s were a bad time. You know, especially those early to mid 90s in the WWF. And it's something that was just so effortless. It came together. And you guys got real heat. Like, some people genuinely thought there was a problem here. I think, we had questions about, like, why do they not like each other? Why is there beef? So it seemed genuine, but I want to let people know and assure them it's all in good fun. It's all in good taste. It's nothing serious. Believe me, if there was any toxicity, I would have stepped in and been like, you know what, we're gonna cut that. But it's all in good fun, and we appreciate that. Shout out to Gabs again in the chat with the beautiful United States Championship, signifying her membership as the main event member, main event mafia. Whoa, that's how you know it's getting late. I'm starting to stumble over my words, guys. But nonetheless, appreciate you guys. Again, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. And I hope to see you guys on Thursday's live stream. Everyone, have a great night. Have a great morning. Everyone, take care and be safe. We'll see you on Thursday's live stream. Everyone, take care. Much love and appreciation.